Grant stretched out his back. It was sore after working the fields all day. That's what new work would do for you. The adventurer looked at the pile of crops at his side. The old man waved him over. Hefting his basket up, the muscular mercenary brought it over to the cart. It was market day for the old man. He had already gone and had the horse and buggy ready to go. Grant felt uncomfortable as he climbed in beside the old man. Despite being old and frail, he reminded Grant of his merchant charge, Kurt, the man he abandoned on the road. Grant wondered where he was now. That man was money-minded. He would have continued on his way to his next appointment. You ready?" the old man coughed. "Yeah. Thank you for letting me recover here." No problem. It was nice to have an extra pair of hands." "You're welcome to stay on. I enjoy the company." "No, I should head out. I don't want to be caught on my road home by winter." "Ah, yes. I understand." A rumble interrupted their conversation. Grant's head spun about as something massive broke onto the field. It was huge. Trees were tossed about as it traveled the fields. Grant reached for his sword on his back, but it was barely a toothpick to such a creature. Grant's lips stuttered. He knew this creature's name, but he couldn't speak it. His mouth couldn't form the words because of fear. The wall of muscle and might crashed into their cart. Grant felt something snap in his body as he slammed into the ground, before one of the monster's legs landed square on his back. There was no pain. That wasn't right. Pain told him he was alive, and if he wasn't feeling any, he didn't want to think about it. A shadow landed hard beside him. It was twisted and... oh. No. It was the old man. He was broken until his face was barely recognizable. Each of the old man's gasping breaths could be his last. With that breath, the old man didn't worry about himself. Instead, he cast a spell. Brilliant light flowed from the old man into the muscular mercenary. Welcome back to Mythical Philology. I'm your guide, Jason. For any adventuring party, someone versed in healing magic is paramount to your success and survival. One stray error, one unexpected trap, one bad second. That's all that lies between you and death. No wonder that the loss of your healer often results in the end of your adventures. Let's sit back and look at how such magic would operate. I touched on how a wound heals before in my discussion on the Hydra, but let's go over it again in more detail. When injured, there are several phases the body goes through. The first is HEMOSTASIS, where the blood loss is stopped by having the blood vessels constrict before having platelets gather, which will stick together and clog the wound. After that is inflammation, where there will be an increase in blood flow to bring in more white blood cells to prevent infection, and increase nutrients needed for healing. The third comes proliferation, where cells divide to replace those that was lost in the injury. At first, the connective tissue is laid down in a random mess, but things to our last phase called remodeling, where things are reshaped. Sorry about that, but it's best that we cover it before we look into healing in more detail. Healing magic comes in several forms, healing potions being a staple. After that, there are spells which come from clerics, druids, shamans, and the sort. So how do these all work? There seems to be a few groups here. The first are those that speed up the process. They shorten the healing process from weeks to seconds. Seriously astounding. The second are those that reverse time until before the injury occurred. Conceptually, they aren't that different, but they are that different in reality. Let's look at the first. Speeding up healing. Take a moment and look at your body. I bet you've got a few scars. This is part of the proliferation and remodeling phase in healing. These are patches of tissues that are not fully remodeled into their original condition. Why? Part of the remodeling phase is with movement, something that will be lost with magic. If a wound heals quickly, it is more likely to scar. But if the wound is healed by reversing time, there will be no scar. Yeah, it sounds like vanity, but it isn't. Scars can be a weak point. When a bone breaks and heals, the fresh bone will often be a little thicker. This does help prevent it from breaking again, but what about a joint? Joints are complicated. They have bones, muscles, nerves, blood vessels, cartilage, and tendons. They are not all the same. Bone, muscle, and blood vessels have good blood flow, but not cartilage and tendons. This means they don't heal the best. And potentially, they may never heal. Meniscal tears are a great example of this. There's a large section of them which is required as surgery to heal, and very rarely recovers on its own. This could be a limit if healing magic only draws on the body's own healing limitations. What if healing magic can go past that? With surgery, a severed limb could be reattached, but with healing magic, an arm could reattach so long as the limbs are held together or pulled together with the correct magic. On that front, time reversal would be best. But what about regrowing it all together? Cut off a limb and a new one springs forth. This would require triggering the gene sequences called segmentation genes. Due to the frequent presence of or absence of a gene, a cascade of proteins and factors will be released to cause a limb to grow. Some animals like the axolotl, starfish, or the internal organs of a sea cucumber are able to regenerate. Nature magic would be best for this. This could also work in dentistry. Lose a tooth and grow a new one. Have a cavity and repair it. Healing magic is not without its dangers. With surgeries, you need to clean the wound to prevent infection. Magic that can kill the bacteria and viruses shouldn't be an impossibility. Wait, is that the weaponization of healing magic? Okay, I know I am sounding insane, but hear me out. If you can accelerate a foe's healing, you could in theory age them to death. Conversely, if you can reverse time, you can return the body to that of a child, a baby, or even before. That could handle the infectious agents. What about an easier option? I talked about scars before being a weak point. If you try to overheal a wound, you could immobilize the limb altogether. Potentially, you could cause the scar to break open if you reverse it. With a paper cut, worthless. But have you seen the injuries that adventurers have to survive? They can get pretty bad. Yet, I'm not done yet. The human digestive system has bacteria in it. Some are bad, but others are good. It's a delicate balance. So what happens if it is thrown off? You could end up with nausea or other conditions to render the foe incapacitated. One way to kill bacteria is UV light. Many forms of healing magic do use light, and this could be a way to sterilize bacteria from a wound. If done right, you could also alter it to kill healthy cells. Ah yes. Cells have something called apoptosis, programmed cell death. Cells die at a certain point to benefit the whole body. So what if they don't die? That is one danger of cancer. A clever healer could pull that off. Oh, I'm not done yet with the dangers of healing. One threat is when objects are lodged in a wound, such as a splinter or a piece of a bullet. If that is left in the wound after it heals, you run the risk of infection. Yes, but aren't there hip replacements and artificial hearts a thing? Those are foreign objects in a body. There is always a chance of the body rejecting it. So yes, a piece of debris could be left in the body without getting an infection, but it's best to remove it before healing to be safe. Of course, in a hurry, you can heal the wound and then go in after and remove the debris. Finally, we have death. How can death be prevented by healing magic? This will be difficult. Upon death, several things will happen. Blood quits flowing, massive amounts of cell death. Not all of it happens at once. There will be phases with the brain being among the first to go. This means being brought back from death may result in memory loss and difficulty moving. Potentially, this would be similar to a stroke or traumatic brain injury. The faster the resurrection, the less damage. Time reversal healing, however, will prevent much of these problems. Okay, we can heal wounds and open wounds. So how does the adventurer party affect the healer? First off, where should the healer be? Front of the party? Back? Middle? Regardless, it is the safest and furthest from danger. In a field where attacks can come from anywhere, the middle is safest, but in a dungeon where you're most likely to be attacked from the front, then putting the healer in the back may be better. In a fight, what should a healer do? I once fought alongside a priest who chose to be in the middle of the battle, using his magic to fell foes faster. He'd argue that the faster their enemies died, the less healing he would have to do. less chance that one foul blow would drop a comrade dead. But if he is distracted in battle, he may not be able to get to an ally fast enough after they are injured, and he was more likely to get hurt and taken out of the battle. That is why I recommend having a second healer, a backup in case your first gets taken out. How would healing magic influence the world? First off, it depends how easy it is to gain healing magic. If it is simple, just need to learn a word and the spell works, well, then I would assume that healing magic would be common knowledge. Basic first aid. But what if it is more complex? More like learning modern medicine and you need to know all the facets of the body to work. Then it will be more restricted. It takes time, resources, and effort to learn all of that. And how many people are willing to make that investment? 1 in 100? More? Less? Those who invest the time would expect financial compensation or other services in response to their work. We could end up having a healthcare system similar to that on Earth. A lot faster and a lot less bloated, but more or less the same with clinics and whatnot. What about if healing magic comes from divine aid? How much work would it take to gain that power? Would it be reliable, used whenever you want, or would it be limited in times per day? If limited, you would save your heals for only the worst cases. Minor injuries would be ignored by the clergy, while fatal and crippling injuries would take precedent. Would they expect compensation or do it of their service to their God's commandments? Could the power of healing magic be influenced by additional prayers? Could that increase the range of the healing spells? It could vary with deity. So, this is a strange magic. I want to have a look at it in a few ways. Let's take a drink first and look at drowning. Drowning is a slow, damaging effect. Could you keep healing yourself and basically breathe underwater? What about torture? Normally, under such a twisted endeavor, you're limited in how far you can take it. But with a healer, you can keep going. You can cut a person, then just heal them. A limb? Skin them alive? Ah yes, I am being a little bit of a sadist here, but hear me out. Rip out a few fingernails, break the fingers, then heal them and start over. Do it again and again. How long can a person take it when there is no limit? What if you go so far as to kill your target? Normally, you failed the interrogation. You can't get information from a corpse, but a healer can fix this. Well, so could a necromancer. We'll get to them eventually. Anyways, with a healer, you could just pop the person back up and you start all over again. This does bring up the conundrum. If you die and are brought back, are you the same person? Or could you be someone different? I don't know. Regardless, can any of you come up with some more creative ways to use these spells? I would love to hear it. Grant pushed himself up. His body felt warm as the magic lingered. Laying nearby was the crumpled old man. With his final words, the old adventurer made a final plea. Stop it. Warn the villagers. How? Grant wondered. It's a Tarosk. Well, that was a dark ending. Healing magic is the center point for many adventurers returning home at the end of their trip. Thank you for watching. Please return next week where, well, I'm sure you know what is on the horizon. Until then, safe travels.